Hi. Um, so I've just been thinking a lot about what I see as like ethical dilemmas, and I think one of the things I would have said about seminar last year is I was at a high school, and I would have said like there's so much material. There was like a ethical dilemma just about every hour, um, and this year, and I think this has to do with having an internship that's at a university. I think it has to do with having an internship with a staff of 9. I think it has to do with having an internship that has really established itself in the field for the past 15 or 20 years. And so, not to say that there's not tons of things they make mistakes on or things that could be better, but I just don't have the same just like landscape to choose from on ethical dilemmas. So I'm also not sure what I will choose as my ethical presentation coming up. But all of that aside, one of the issues, and I think it feels small, but I think it also feels worth sharing, is we've had this group running at Preble Street Teen Center, and last week was the third week, and I mean, so much of what I love with this group is my comfort level with my co facilitator, not just for who she is as a young woman, but also her commitment to the group. And um, she's had some just really hard life experiences, and even um, just things that hit her close to home, and she comes into work with sort of grief and loss and just wants to focus on group and uses the time we have really thoughtfully, and it's kind of the one thing that she's doing right now versus like some of her other projects are just on hold. Anyways, so I love working with her. I love a lot of the pieces around it. But so anyways, this past week we were like, okay, we're going to bring pizza. We're going to reserve this room to have a conference room versus being in their open space, which is just shown to be really chaotic. It'll allow more of a commitment. It'll allow for more focused conversation, blah, 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 blah. So we're really excited. We get there a little late. That's my fault. We have the pizzas. We go into the back. We have like 7 students this week, but there's one young man who has been at each of our 3 meetings, and he's the only young man who's been consistent. And he's a youth who used to be in the foster care system, and so he's talked a lot about wanting to get involved in advocacy and leadership groups. And so we've hooked him up with our youth leadership advocacy team. And he was supposed to go to that meeting. This would be his first time last time, same time as group, okay? But we knew, we were like, that's okay. This is an ongoing opportunity for him once a month, and our group meets every week. And it just seemed like it would be really good to get him out of that sort of setting. He's really immature in a lot of ways, developmentally. And anyways, he was really dressed up, and it turns out that the person who was supposed to pick him up didn't pick him up. They like called ahead of time to see if he was there, and he was like waiting outside, but people didn't know that out inside, and et cetera, so he didn't get shown up. I didn't know all this before the group. Anyways, needless to say, group was fine, but he was probably the most detrimental in terms of group process, and that's been true before as well. Um, Admittedly, once I learned about the sort of ride pickup thing not happening afterwards, I was like, oh yeah, sure, that could have been in response to, he was upset. He was upset. But on the other hand, um, I think that he will be it will be amazing for him to get to connect with that group. Anyways, the ethical dilemma here is we have this strategic sharing event, not this next coming Saturday, the 15th. And it's an opportunity for 3 or 4 youth from each of our projects to come. So that means 3 youth from Preble Street can come to this like day-long workshop. They get paid like a small stipend. They get to connect with other youth. They get to learn some skills, but it's also an opportunity which they will then get to build and do additional paid opportunities to speak and to be part of panels and to influence work being done. And I just don't think he is mature enough or self-aware enough to really be a part of this. And I feel like a real gatekeeper. And at the same time, I'm like, he's been at every group. He's super consistent, and yet he literally just delayed. He just like takes up space and doesn't contribute. And just really middle school behavior. And that's all fine and well, but that's not going to be ideal in this setting with lots of people from different environments. So, anyways, I think my co-facilitator and I have talked a lot about this, and we've weighed in general, like we have sort of identified youth we want to get involved in the strategic planning day. They haven't showed back up. We know we're working with a really inconsistent population, yet we can't invite all 7 students. We could target 4, and it's this really tough situation where like normally I could navigate this. We could navigate it around age, ability, opportunities for leadership. But this group, we are all so new to each other that it feels really hard to say, oh, only a few of you are going to get to be a part of this special day. So, anyways, I just love thoughts around navigating these sorts of ethical dilemmas around like who gets to participate and what it means to be a gatekeeper and what it means to be an adult gatekeeper to opportunities. So even as I'm saying this, I like have ideas of like how I could navigate it, but I would just love other people's feedback and thoughts. And I'm sorry my video was a little rambly and a little long.